What's going on, everybody? This is KJ, and I am here to give you my Week 6 Team Builder analysis for Lambo. So, just give a background on Lambo. Very good player. He actually joined, I believe, in Week 5 of Season 2 and did not lose. Completely ran the table. He took over a team that was 3-1, that was originally piloted by Zanku, and was already in first place, and the team never left first place. So Lambo's a very, very good player. This season, he, I believe, is 4-1. He just lost his first game last week, so we're getting him off of a loss. Never good when you're getting a good coach off of their first loss of the season / their first loss in that particular league, but that's okay. His team is very scary. Where he's rolling with Mega Alakazam, Tapu Lele. So he actually was one of the people that originally was like, no, Lele should be banned. Like regardless of the difference in the Psychic Terrain boost dropping from, or the basically it going from 1.5 boost, 1.5 times boost to a 1.3 times boost. He was still saying like Lele is super broken. You just got to play around it right. And I mean, sure enough, he's been doing just that. Lele has been very good for him. I think last game was the first time it died. So yeah. Anyway, back to his team. So Megazam, Lele, Suicune, Mandibuzz, Piloswine, Fortress, Alolan Golem, Gengar, Alolan Marowak, Wigglytuff, and Cobalion. So he's got a couple of ghost types to sort of try to deter the potential psychic types that can come in and try to use terrain. He also has Cobalion, which is going, and Mandibuzz, which Mandibuzz is going to also hardwall ghost spam. Uh, Cobalion's going to make sure that he can benefit from people spamming dark type moves. And yeah, then he's just got some very solid bulk with Piloswine, Suicune. He also has, and Fortress, and then he also has the Alolan Golem to trap any potential Steel types. So, yeah, very scary team, and trying to sort of figure out what was the best thing to bring here was definitely a struggle. So, that being said, let's get into the build. So first things first, this was kind of like an obvious bring, the Assault Vest Alolan Muck. Uh, we live anything from Zam or Lele pretty well, and the fact that it's a dark type that Fairy is neutral against, and also the fact that it is a dark type and can't be hit by psychic moves, kind of hard walls the Lele. For this, I expect him to have the Piloswine or the Cobalion, just to make sure that he can sort of either pressure the Muck, or he can sort of take advantage of any potential knockoff or switch into Cobalion for the Poison Jab. So that's why we're rocking Fire Punch. And then the other potential thing I'm worried about is him being like a faster Alolan Marowak variant. And so between that as well as the Mandibuzz, I decided to tech Rock Slide here, just because it does hit them fairly well. Rock Slide into knockoff 100% kills Marowak, so that's good, even like bulkier variants. So yeah, I do think Alolan Muck is going to be very huge in this game for checking Lele and Zam. We'll see what happens. The next thing we got is Expert Belt Vaporeon. So Baton Pass for slow pivot. We've got Wish support because Wish is just incredibly good. And then Surf and Shadow Ball. So Shadow Ball is a 2-hit KO on the Alakazam, and Surf with the Expert Belt is actually a roll to Oko the Marowak. So that's something that I'm hoping to potentially catch him off guard with. I know his obvious switch-ins to this are, I mean, if he's expecting a Toxic, then he probably goes with switching in one of the Steel types. It'd be interesting to see if he does bring Fortress here. I'm not sure that he does. That'll be a little surprising. But yeah, I think Suicune could come to this game. Probably doesn't. So his Vaporeon switch-ins, they're limited. I feel like, especially if it can I mean, Lele comes in and pressures, but again, Lele doesn't really want to take the Shadow Ball either. Any chip that we can get on Lele here is ideal for endgame, and you'll see why for this next mon. So any chip we get on Lele is great for the Spexian Mega that we're bringing. So after a speed boost, it speed ties Scarf Lele, and it's doing 75 to I think 89% to a standard offensive Lele. So Yanmega is definitely huge here. The idea is keep it in the back. It has moves to pretty much hit everything fairly well. And yeah, this thing hits incredibly hard. This first time bringing it. So I'm hoping that it might catch him off guard a little bit. But Lambo is very good. I don't really think you catch him off guard with things. At least not things that you're bringing. It's more so just like trying to play in a way that he's not expecting or anything like that. But yeah, Yanmega, very standard speed boost, max speed, max special attack, just to make sure we maximize damage. And then Air Slash, Shadow Ball, Bug Buzz, Giga Drain. Typically they're in U-turn, but because this is coming in ideally late game, I don't think I want U-turn. I think I want to be able to just come in and press buttons with it. So, all right, next mon we have a mixed Scarf Victini. So the reason we're mixed is so that we can actually have something to hit the Alolan Marowak. Ideally, Psychic. I'd be able to abuse the Psychic Terrain, but it just it wasn't great. It wasn't something that I was super happy about. So, V-Create hits a good amount of his team. He doesn't really have a V-Create switch in other than the Marowak. So if he brings the Marowak, then I'm gonna try to bait it with a Shadow Ball, and then he does have the Wigglytuff. So if he then switches into Wigglytuff, he might get free rocks off if we have to switch, or he would get either free rocks or a wish off or something like that. But then that allows us to come in and pressure with things like Alolan Muck. So yeah, I think Victini Yanmega is kind of the key to winning this game, and I think just using Muck, Vaporeon, Gligar to kind of come in defensively, chip things, is going to be very important. So the next mon we got is the Gligar. I did notice that a lot of his mons do not appreciate getting their items knocked off. So with the Cobalion, the only thing we really have to worry about, but Gligar hardwalls Cobalion. We are running the standard Gligar set, standard Gligar spread, because it actually just kind of worked. So that's good. And yeah, Earthquake is 2-hit KOing a lot of the things that Gligar can sort of come in on for free, so that's good. And just having knockoff for the Piloswine, for the potential Piloswine switch in, is really nice. Being able to defog any potential rocks is good, and it is unfortunate that don't have the space for being able to roost. They're being able to carry roost, but that's okay. We do have wish support and baton pass on Vaporeon, and in most cases we'll be slower than a lot of the things that we're in on. So yeah, and then the last mon, we got Tapu Koko. So running a Shucka Berry to make sure that we can live an Earthquake from the Golem or the Piloswine. Opted for U-turn over Thunderbolt, or over Volt Switch rather, for being able to pivot just in case he has Lightning Rod. He also has the Piloswine, and Piloswine is kind of the obvious Koko switch in. So Thunderbolt just to hit things reasonably hard, and then Grass Knot, which OHKOs the Alolan Golem, which is nice, and it does, or it in most cases OHKOs the Alolan Golem, and it also chips Piloswine a reasonable amount. The idea here is he switches in something and we can Nature's Madness and just kind of chip away, and then potentially pivot out. So yeah, I do sort of like where this is. So yeah, I mean, this is the team we are playing. We were actually supposed to play a few minutes ago, but I just had to record the team builder. So, yeah, if you like the content, please tune in for the video, or for the game video. All right, thanks. What is going on, everybody? This is KJ. I'm back for my Week 6 ISL Season 3 matchup, our game recap versus Lambo. Lambo's a great player. He did win Season 2, as I think I mentioned earlier in this video. His Side-Span team was very scary. Just looking at it in team preview, like, I expected the Alolan Marowak, and honestly, running calcs, the Alolan Marowak ran through everything on my team, so that was very scary. Just with its coverage of, like, its stab of fire and ghost, and then the fact that it does get access to some ground moves made this thing incredibly scary. I had originally considered maybe bringing Trick Room or something like that, but Alolan Marowak sort of stopped that immediately. So, let's just get into the game. I can talk through this. So, I did lead Victini because I wanted to scout. He led Alolan Marowak, and so just kind of wanted to feel it out. And he did go into the Mandibuzz, and I do just click U-turn there. So that does reveal that he has weak armor, which I thought might be useful because breaking Mandibuzz was pretty hard for my team. And I think this early game, I kind of wanted to just get as much chip on things as possible. So that's why I went for the Nature's Madness there. I thought that anything that came in getting chipped was good. And again, just kind of pivoting around a little bit. He does knock off the Eviolite. That's fine. And I do actually get to knock off the leftovers on the Fortress, which was pretty big for me in my opinion, just because the Victini is the only thing that really checks that well. I did expect him to hazard stack, and that's why I did have Gligar ready, so that was good. But I kind of went into the Gligar here, one, to get the free defog, and two, because I expected a slow pivot there with Volt Switch, so that was good. Defogging on this thing coming in was solid. I've realized afterwards, though, that Suicune was very, very difficult for my team. He does actually sub here, so that was a free sub for him. In hindsight, I probably should have went into Koko. I don't think there was a ton that Suicune could have done to Koko there, so I think hard switching into Koko would have been better because that would have pressured it more. But him missing the Toxic is unfortunate for him. But I did kind of think about it. I didn't have Heal Bell this week on Vaporeon, and after looking at his team, that would have been a pretty solid bring as well. But I was really worried about the Marowak, so I needed to be a little bit more offensive, as I mentioned previously. So, and also just having Ice Beam for general coverage was good. But yeah, I in this particular case, I stayed in with Vaporeon way longer than I should have. I should have just came in with Koko and at least pressured a little bit, and then it would have had to force him to either make the prediction of switching out into Marowak or sticking around with the Suicune. And so he does protect here, probably trying to scout the potential Thunderbolt. And I was trying to sort of lead on that I was choiced with Koko, so that way I could potentially get him to switch in the Marowak. But he didn't switch here, so I don't know why I went for Grass Knot in particular, but I knew that Grass Knot... I don't know why I went for Grass Knot there. I should have just clicked Thunderbolt, but Grass Knot, I guess, was to ensure that I could still break the sub without worrying about potentially Marowak coming in. So Koko getting Toxic was definitely difficult for me to handle. And I was kind of surprised not to see the Piloswine, just because I thought it handled Koko very well. But honestly, this being able to Toxic Stall Koko was pretty big for him. And so here, I do predict that the Marowak comes in and a U-turn out, and I decide to go back into Victini, and here I should have clicked Bolt Strike, because he was in range of Victini to Oko. So if I click Bolt Strike, this does a ton of damage on the Mandibuzz, but instead I click Shadow Ball, so I do reveal that, or at least at this point, he might think that I'm a special Victini, and just have U-turn for being able to pivot around, but yeah, in hindsight, the right play there was to click the Shadow Ball, because, or not to click Shadow Ball, to click the Bolt Strike, because honestly, at that point, Shadow Ball was like, at that point his obvious switch-ins were either Suicune or the Mandibuzz. So here we do get the chip, even more chip on the Marowak. The hardest thing with Coco in this game was that Marowak, there was no good way to hit Marowak. A lot of times when Coco is kind of like its electric coverage is walled, or then some of his other coverage does really well, but that wasn't the case here. Marowak was definitely a very good bring on Lambo's part, and it just did a ton of work here. And so yeah, we're kind of playing the positioning game, trying to get each other's Mons in good position to sort of make a play one way or another. In this particular situation, I do U-turn out because, again, I'm just trying to get some kind of positioning, and so I think getting Vaporeon in here was potentially good because I was thinking I can wish up either the Gligar or the Coco. I didn't think about it. I should have expected the taunt, especially because he was minus speed, and I think the correct play there was honestly to go into Muck, or yeah, probably go into Muck, because he was -4, or -2 rather, +4 speed, but -2 defense. So Muck would have hit the Mandibuzz pretty hard, and that would have forced in probably Fortress, but I had Fire Punch for Fortress. So all in all, I kind of wish I would have just went for the Muck earlier on. As you can see here, I do switch into Muck, and he does click Foul Play. So he doesn't really have a way with Mandibuzz to hit Muck. The problem was I was trying to preserve Muck for the Lele and the Alakazam. So that was sort of my thing there. And I'm pretty sure at -2, this Rock Slide would have been doing big damage. So, I mean, hindsight, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have went into Muck a little earlier, but it happens. So, yes, do reveal that I have Fire Punch, and this turn was pretty big for him because he does get the chip on Muck that he needs for Alakazam's Focus Blast to kill, and he gives us the Lele, which I was okay with. Like, Lele scared the absolute hell out of me, and so just getting that threat sort of gone is great. But yeah, Mandibuzz being here and being faster than Vaporeon was definitely a huge problem because it kind of just crippled my ability to Wish Pass, and nothing on my team outside of nothing on my team had recovery. Really, outside of the, I think I was running Roost on Gligar. I'm drawing a blank here, but yeah, I think like not being able to Wish Pass with Vaporeon was huge, and I mean, again, shoutouts to Lambo. Like, his prep is very good. He won Season 2 for a reason. He's a very good player, and I mean, got nothing but respect for him. I mean, this was his Mons. The Mons that he brought were definitely great brings. I mean, I was not expecting Suicune to come, especially with the fact that I have Superior as well as Coco. I thought that Suicune was just pressured too much. And so yeah, I this is where I kind of wished I could have some of these plays back, because I do bring in Yanmega in, and that particular play was fine. because I didn't really get. I wasn't really in a situation where I could lose Yanmega, because Yanmega late game was my win con, especially after I get a speed boost up, because it was Specs Yanmega. The problem is actually the next couple of turns. So the fact that he is sub Toxic Protect, I made a read. He subs here, and I end up clicking knockoff. In theory, I probably should have clicked U-turn there to, again, get Coco in to try to pressure this a little bit more. But this next play is actually, or it's the play after this is pretty big, because with him being sub-toxic protect, I was expecting, oh, this kind of gets walled by, or like this kind of gets just blown back by Victini if he has Scald. Or if he doesn't have Scald, so he's got to have Scald. And then he reveals the Ice Beam. So this now, with the fact that the combination of me not being able to Wish Pass effectively with Vaporeon means that Yanmega just kind of dies. And I gave him Yanmega here. I should not have. And if I did, I should have at least clicked Giga Drain to get the health back. I don't know why I clicked Bug Buzz, because now he's still behind the sub. So that was dumb on my part. Definitely a misplay. And yeah, I mean, I made a hard read and I was wrong. I predicted that he had the Scald because I thought that he would, given the fact that I have Victini. But he had Ice Beam, so that was good. But yeah, so I am actually able to get a Wish Pass off, and at this point I'm thinking Muck is kind of my only answer. And he does freeze me here. Not that it matters too much, just because if I can thaw, then I'm in a good spot. And honestly, like, at 73%, like with the Wish and the fact that he's only doing 12%, like, Muck is still in a reasonably good spot. I have some ideas for what I can do potentially in the future if I face this team, but I did bring the mons that I felt had a good matchup. And again, I just threw the Yanmega away. I mean, the first 30 turns were very good. I think like both players were playing very well, or both of us were playing very well. So, but yeah, this Suicune is just so hard for me to break, especially with Coco being toxic. So, as you'll see, he's just kind of stalling out here. He does go back into Fortress, which, again, like, I probably could have made the read and clicked Fire Punch there, but that would have been a bit dangerous. So I go into Victini here, and again, I don't know why, but I click Shadow Ball, and again, I wish I would have just clicked the Bolt Strike, because even though he would have been faster and he would have done big damage to Victini, I would have been able. It would have been he's have to trade Mandibuzz for Victini, and I don't think he was willing to do that. So, yeah, and I think this kind of seals it, because again, I do end up losing the Vaporeon. Here he does go for Taunt, and that just kind of cripples it. Like, that's the big problem. Taunt was a great bring on his part. Again, I can't say that enough. Like, Vaporeon keeping things healthy was so key in this particular matchup. But yeah, so Victini comes back in, and I do click Bolt Strike there, and you see it does, at -1, it does 62%. Like, that would have been absolutely huge. And his foul play only does 81. So I think earlier in the game, had I clicked Bolt Strike on the Mandibuzz switch in, then it would have been it would have been crippled, and he wouldn't have been able to outspeed. So I would have either picked up the kill, or it would have just had to switch out and probably switch into Marowak. Um, but yeah, so at this point in the game, I still have Muck, and I I still have Victini, so I think I'm in a fairly decent spot. Like I can still, this is still winnable, but it's probably very unlikely. It's possible, but not probable. um, so he's just kind of roosting to stall out the toxic turns on Coco, which I don't blame him. Um, Again, in hindsight, I think I should have. I think I could have pressured more with Victini, clicking Bolt Strike, and even V Create. And I think that the uh, the Coco, I should have pressured. I should have tried to pressure more with Coco, I think. And like worst case, he gets a switch in with Marowak, but like that would have allowed me to. He gets a switch in Marowak, but I can still pivot out on that. Like Marowak's very slow, and I think like as you can see that he mentioned in chat, like I should have gambled with Victini a little more to break the sub, and I was just so afraid of the Scald, and I shouldn't have been. Like he was obviously very bulky, being sub toxic and protect. So again, in hindsight, there's definitely some plays that I wish I had back. I think overall this is a very good game. I am kind of wrapping up here because the next few turns are just kind of like it's almost like a formality. Like it's very obvious at this point. Like he does win. I'm choice locked with Victini, and Muck is my only mon that has more than 24%. So yeah, and I do drop the GG. And yeah, I mean this was a good game. There was no, it wasn't a situation where I just made like some super stupid play. It was more so just he he had a team that was harder for me to break down. But yeah, if we do play again potentially in the playoffs, then I think it'll be a fun time. I I I've only played Lambo twice, and both games have been good ones. So I I am looking forward to any potential matches going forward. And it's funny because right here I almost doubled into Muck, and that would have been a play that could have potentially helped me win, like put me in a position to win. Um, but I absolutely needed to double there and then potentially force the switch on the Marowak. But I think he still would have had it because he just had more mons to be able to sack things, and I would have had to. I don't remember if Bolt Strike outside of terrain beats Alakazam. I don't think it does, but I would have had to been able to make all the plays, like all the possible reads perfectly, and I don't think that would have been 100% the best. So yeah. Anyway, we moved to 3-3, and I think we have a -2 differential. Sort of still in the playoff picture, but we are definitely on the outside looking in right now. But playoffs are still obtainable. Again, just as a reminder, the top 7 teams make it, with a top seed overall getting a bye. I know there's been some confusion just because we did it that way. We sort of picked up the way that the NFL is doing playoffs, just because we wanted to continue to have a bye for to keep coaches motivated, to like coaches at the top to be motivated to continue to play, and also wanted to have more than just like 6 teams, being a 16-team league, making it. So 7 seemed like a good number, and a lot of people are like, oh, but what about divisions, all that stuff. The divisions were more so for the scheduling aspect of things, because it made it easier as admins for us to create a schedule if people were kind of split in division. But anyway, 3-3, -2. We play Zank next week. Zank is a very good friend of mine. We started draft very close to the same time, and obviously we're co-admins in ISL. I think we've played twice, and we're 1-1 against each other. Both games have been very close, I think. But yeah, if you like the content, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave me comments. I try to get back to everybody. And I'll see you on the next video. All right, peace.